All right, we're back here with Captain Marty. He's got another one of those great captivating, captivating.
They call me Captain Captivating.
Captain Captivate. There we go. Well, Marty, what kind of story have you got for us today?
Well, I'm going to get to that in a minute, but before I do, we take a little break here. I want you and all of our listeners to think, what do you think, and I'll ask you this question in just a second, but what do you think is the longest time a fish has ever been fought off the Outer Banks? So I'm talking about an offshore fish, the longest time you think a battle has gone on, and I'll be back to do that when we come back from this break.
At the south end of Roanoke Island, a quiet little village, lies a marina known for having one of the finest fishing fleets on the Outer Banks. Whether it be an offshore excursion, a nearshore charter, or headboat fishing, Wanchese Marina is where to go. Wanchese Marina is a full-service marina, complete with a fueling dock, bait, tackle, ice, and the landing grill restaurant. All of this is just a few minutes from some of the finest fishing spots around. Book online at wanchesemarina.com. Wanchese Marina, 4457 Mill Landing Road, Wanchese.
Hey y'all, Captain Marty here to tell you that when my friends are in the market for a new boat engine or repair, I send them to the best, and that's at Ratcliffe Marine in Belhaven. Ratcliffe Marine is your official Yamaha outboard dealer. Yamaha motors are designed to get you on the water fast and get you back to the dock whenever you're ready. Ratcliffe Marine is also the largest repower center in North Carolina. So when you're in the market for a new motor or need your Yamaha service, go to Ratcliffe Marine, 865 Highway 264 in Belhaven. So Justin, what do you think is the longest time a battle has ever gone on, start to finish, off the Outer Hatteras or Oregon Inlet? What do you think?
I'm thinking. I'm thinking that the longest one would have to have been with a blue marlin.
Right?
Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. The longest one somebody's fought a blue marlin. Gosh, I really don't know. I have an idea, but I don't.
No, don't tell me.
Okay. All right.
I'll tell you.
You tell me.
I'm the one getting paid here.
Yes, sir.
So okay. I got to earn my keep. So here's the deal. Back in 1977, I believe it was, I was the mate on a boat called the Sundancer for Nevin Wescott.
Okay.
At the Oregon Inlet Fishing Center, my first or second year as a mate at Oregon Inlet after 2 years down in Hatteras, and then growing up down in Ponce Inlet with the fishing fleet there. Okay, my roommate was John Bayliss, the famous boat builder that builds the Bayliss yachts, sport fishing boats.
Mm-hmm.
And he and I had a little trailer up at what we called Wee Winks up in Kitty Hawk. It was up there that we rented a little single wide mobile home on the beach road. We were happy as clams.
Okay.
He made it on the Fightin Lady with Captain Sam Stokes, a legend, a true legend on the Outer Banks, nicknamed Goldfinger because everything he touched literally turned to gold.
Okay.
Like. So we were out fishing one day, and it was during August. It was during the marlin season when we go more up to the northeast and we get away from going to the southeast where the tuna grounds are generally more productive.
Right.
We go there, and I loved it. All the mates loved it because you get to do a little marlin fishing. So we were trolling right alongside the Fightin Lady at 10 o'clock. Now, trolling is the art of bringing 5 or 6 baits behind the boat, and you troll. You're moving all the time. You're dragging ballyhoo, squid, Spanish mackerel, mullet that are all been rigged, and it makes them look like they're alive because you're pulling them through the water. So we watched them. We heard Sam. We could see a bunch of commotion over on the Fightin Lady. We were maybe not much more than 100 feet trolling side by side. And then I could even see the dorsal fin of a very big blue marlin chasing their bait. They hooked up at 10 o'clock in the morning. Sam did like we always did back then. He got there, Fightin Lady, hooked up, big blue marlin. And
okay.
The battle was on 10 o'clock in the morning. We watched them fight that fish. Now, in those days, they fought him a little different than we do nowadays, but they had they had good tackle. They had him on the biggest reel because, there's an old saying in the fleet, elephants eat peanuts. And generally, the biggest marlin always pounce on the littlest rod. Just weird how that works. This case, they had him on the right pole. So they started fighting him. And as the morning progressed into noon and then early afternoon, everyone, how you doing, Sam? We could see him. I mean, we saw the fish jump. And, buddy, when that thing hit the water, it looked like someone was dropping a Volkswagen from an airplane.
Oh, dang.
They made that big a splash.
Wow.
And my captain said, that's a big marlin. So the word started getting around. Word got called back into shore. Hey, the Fightin Lady is fighting a big one. Fought it all through the day. It got to be about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was time for us to go home. Now we couldn't see Sam anymore because he had chasing the fish, backing down the boat, the single engine, original Fightin Lady, chasing that fish down. He had gone out over the horizon. But you know what? You're tangled up with the big one. On board the boat, they were on about their third angler because somebody would fight it for an hour and give out, then somebody else would fight. They were taking turns. We all said, Sam, do you need anything? Do you want somebody to stay out here? He said, no, it's a pretty day. I'll be all right. So we went on in. When we got to this, started a series of everybody checking to see how it was going. We got to the dock, and before I left to go home, I went around to the Oregon Inlet Fishing Center office. They had a big radio, and they're keeping in touch with them. And they said, no, they're still hooked up. They're still fighting him. It got dark. I got back up to John and I are roommates, and he's the mate on the Fightin Lady. Obviously, I knew that they were still fighting it. At 9 o'clock that night, I called back down to the fishing center. They had a little group that was drinking coffee and sitting around that radio listening to the fight going on. During that night, Sam backed up. The fish changed direction and headed to the western towards the shore, but Sam backed up without taking that boat out of reverse for 15 miles.
Oh, my gosh.
Chasing that fish. And in those days, the idea was to stay as close to the fish as you could, but all night long, they kept battling. The fish did not really do much sounding, like diving down deep, stayed on the surface. And again, now all 6 of the people in the boat have fought the fish. John Bayliss even got in the chair and fought the fish for a little while. People were getting exhausted. 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Did he just say 2 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the morning? Holy smokes. We're going to let the captain finish this story when we come back.
Frisco Woods Campground, a family-owned gem for over 50 years, offers a perfect getaway on Hatteras Island. Whether you prefer tent camping, electric water sites, RV spots, or primitive camping cabins, there's something for everyone. Guests enjoy free hot showers, a refreshing pool, and breathtaking sunsets over the Pamlico Sound. Nestled in nature yet close to local attractions, Frisco Woods Campground provides a peaceful retreat with modern comforts, making it an ideal destination for outdoor enthusiasts and families alike. Book online at thefriscowoodscampground.com. Frisco Woods Campground, 50 years of memory making on Hatteras Island.
I get up at 4 and come back to work the next day. It's the next day.
Oh my gosh.
I get to the first thing I did when I got to the marina is the word was on. They're still fighting it.
Holy smokes.
The sun comes up. We put a completely different charter on the Sundancer and head offshore. And as it turned out, we went back to the same area. And right there, the Fightin Lady, after going way offshore and then 15 miles back, and it ended up almost exactly where they started. And the sun is up, well up. So anyway, we could not believe it. And we were just right alongside of them, close again. And at 9:30 in the morning, that fish come up and jumped one more time, broke the line.
Oh my gosh.
At 9:30, 23 and a half hours, they had fought that marlin. And everybody on the boat fought the marlin. And that was the agony of defeat. They lost that fish. There was nothing to be said or could say. We had gone in, got another charter, and come back out. Well, the footnote to that story, and most of my stories do have a footnote, especially these old stories, is that, of course, they went on back to the dock and they were wore out. That rod and reel was shot. They didn't even attempt to come back out that day because the time they got back, it was lunchtime.
Right.
Well, now what they do, the captains have decided it is better to leave the boat in neutral and put a lot of pressure on the rod and reel and hope that your tackle holds up and let it pull against the drag of the reel. And once it pulls off 300 yards of line, then you back up to the fish real quick, stop, let it pull off. And that way you wear a fish out. That's the way they fight blue marlin now. But the story that most people want to know the answer is, what people want to know the answer, how big was that fish? Keep in mind, at that time, the Joe Boy had already caught a 1,142 pounder. Since that time, there have been 8 fish over 1,000 pounds caught on the Outer Banks. Neither John Bayliss nor Sam Stokes would venture a guess. My guess and everyone else's guess is that fish was over 1,000 pounds. And it was one of the greatest stories of the agony of defeat after a 23 and a half hour battle. And still to this day is one of the favorite stories that fishermen like to talk at, sitting around a bar, having a mixed drink and remembering that day.